Hey everybody, Josh rving here to Bish's RV down here in Middlebury today at Jayco HQ, getting a first look inside here at the new family bunkhouse member of the Eagle SLE series that's now making landfall. This is a new thing that they're coming out with, and the idea here is to make a Jayco more accessible and more affordable to more people than have been available in the past. This model right here, it's the essentially the establishing the new baseline of the Jayco Eagle family, and then everything goes up from here. But what's awesome about this is there's a lot of people like, listen, I just want a reliable, dependable RV to take my family out to make some memories. I don't want something too awful big. You know, I don't want all the fancy over the top stuff. We still want to spend a lot of our time outside. We still want to connect as a family, but we want something a little more classy and reliable versus the common entry level stuff that you sometimes find out there. That's where this one slips into the mix. What's cool about this is it still brings the peace of mind of things like Jayco's 2+3 year warranty package to a buyer who maybe wasn't able to afford a Jayco before. Still also has that 3,000-pound towing hitch on the back with the wiring harness and everything. So if you have like a cargo pod, a bunch of kids' bikes, or Edna Croaks on the family vacation, you got a great place to be able to transport all of that and or her, depending on what you're looking at. Also still has a basic battery tending 200-watt solar package. So if you do still work for a living, you still punch that clock, you don't get a chance to get out there all day, every day, you're not always plugged in, your batteries aren't going to roast and toast and get drained and dead when you're not using the thing. It's a really smart combination of features and equipment that went into this one. The floor plan has some things I really like the private sleeping. I don't personally love the seating arrangement, but I get why they did it. But that's the thing. Every RV has positives and negatives. I want to try to show you both sides of the equation, let you decide if this is the right one for you. And as we go, let me know what you think about it. What do you like and what do you dislike? And if you appreciate how we get you the footage and give you that chance to share your feedback with the manufacturers, hit that hit the subscribe button, leave us some comments, whatever. I was doing great until then. Now it fell apart. I'm not reshooting this. I don't care. Let's go inside. I will say what's kind of nice about this one, it actually doesn't have the largest living area, but the really light color palette on here really opens the space up quite nicely. And, if you're stuck inside on a rainy day and you're sitting over here in what I'm going to call the throne, the theater seat, you're kind of just, it's like a bus driver. You're sort of overlooking the chaos and you're just deciding, all right, the kids are hitting each other, but are they hitting each other hard enough to hurt one another? Do I have to get up and parent this thing, or can I just sit here and let them learn problem-solving skills? That's something that we were a one-and-done household, and I think if you talk to most fathers, they're probably just ultra protective of their daughter. And I probably should have let my daughter get scuffled up a little bit more than I necessarily did, but she's learning those skills now that she's in her teenage years. It's just, they don't come with manuals, do they, guys? That's kind of the thing with camping. You sort of, you kind of figure some of RVing out as you go. Like, my goal with these videos is to help you cut that learning curve considerably. I really want you I want to help find your second RV the first time around and save you from, buying multiple RVs when one could have done the trick if you knew which one to get. But that's easier said than done. And I think kids are kind of like that sometimes too, but I'm waxing poetically over here. What does this RV bring to the table? Well, one thing it doesn't bring is heat vents in the floor, so you don't have those deli slicers ripping your feet apart. Floor vented heating is far more efficient and effective, but Jayco created their own heat system that the industry's never seen before. It actually still has floor ducting, but it's cabinet side venting. So you don't have holes in the floor, but you do still get the warm floor effect. Notice the power outlets under those overhead cabinets right there. They're black on white, so it's nice and easy to spot. Now, the SLE series here has a miniature version of what Jayco calls their Blue Sync system, which is just their stereo system, basically. You've got a smart TV up here, which can pivot around a little bit. And then instead of like a DVD, CD, AM, FM stereo head, what you have here is a dual connection Bluetooth point. So if you hit the general Bluetooth button, you could sync that up to the rectangular Fear device that you have in your pocket. If you hit the TV button, well, guess what that does, guys? The thing is, this SLE series, they did something that I've kind of been wanting Jayco to do for a while. they got rid of the outside speakers. It only has a set of inside speakers in it. Or you could just listen straight off the TV, which is usually what I would do anyway. I kind of find that surround sound-ish kind of speakers, which is not exactly what this is. I feel like it just kind of it just takes over the room, you know. Look at the prep space in this thing though. They go with just monster countertop prep area. Now, what they don't have is an electric space heat and Tootsie Toaster, the more fancy pants Eagles that are more shiny shoes in their equipment will have those. This one just goes for max storage. Some people really like a fireplace, and for some folks, maybe it's a deal breaker, and I totally respect that. That's totally fine. There's plenty of different RVs that have that. This one doesn't, because I don't know that more storage is necessarily ever the wrong answer. For some people, it's just not necessarily the correct answer. You know, there's no hard rules on any of this stuff. Now, there is storage all the way around the dinette, but it seems here in the SLE series, you do have to pretty much take the dinette apart to get to most of it. So what I would recommend doing, bumped the camera there, sorry about that. Make sure you don't put any everyday things that you're going to need down in there. I do like the totally carpetless nature of the slide. By the way, sometimes people, they look at the corner of the slide over here and they go, oh, there's a problem with the floor. No, there's not. There's nothing wrong with the floor. A quote flush floor slide doesn't actually sit flush to the floor. It's close. So they include that little flap over the end to help kind of visually bridge that gap. But the trick is that flap never fully rests flat. And that was always true even when RVs had carpeted slides. You just didn't see it as much. So nothing has really changed. There's not a problem. It just doesn't always look the most aesthetically pleasing. Nobody realized it was an issue for a very long time. Now, this is an interesting open but private double over double bunk. And that when you hear something like that, it makes your brain go, aneurysm. Like, why? Open but private. Yes, it does have an actual sliding pocket privacy door over here. If I remember in a little bit, I'll try to slide that closed as we're looking at kitchen storage so you can check all that kind of stuff out. But during the day, it just kind of makes everything look and feel open. If you're stuck inside on a rainy day, each of the kids is kind of hanging out in their own bunks. You do have like just a generic, hey, lights out, kids kind of thing. But each bunk also has its own, like, I don't know, reading light or whatever, and its own set of outlets, which are also inverter prepped. By default, this is prepped for a 2,000 watt inverter. The optional solar package also includes a 2,000 watt inverter. So you have a couple different ways of going about that. Now, before I forget about this and close the bunk room door, I figure we ought to check this storage out right now. I don't know if I've ever seen an enclosed bunkhouse RV where I'm like, yeah, that's really awesome. That's definitely plenty of storage for the kids. It always feels very minimal at best, but at least this one has something, you know? And if you don't need the hanging storage area back there, one of the things that you could very easily do is just add a shelf into that larger open upper compartment right there and convert that into like more shelf space. If you don't need hanging clothes, you need to fold everything. And hey, I remember to close that door. So yeah, open but private bunk room, which is kind of nice. Now, if somebody wanted to, I've seen people do this aftermarket. I've seen people remove like the upper bunk and make it essentially kind of like a second bedroom. There's nothing says you can't do that. Like if that upper bunk was removed, it's not like you just destroyed the structural integrity of the RV and now everything's gonna buckle and crumple in a funky, weird way. That is not a problem. You need to worry about awesome space for a big wastebasket down there. Holy crap, man. Which means that corner chunk of the counter space there, it's going to be hard to get to the storage back there, but at least it's available. I think what you might want to do is get like a tote where maybe you keep some infrequently used things that you can kind of slide forward to access when you need it, you know. Now over here again, they went with maximum storage instead of the electric space heat and fireplace. So we've got the double big drawers, double small drawers, which that's a lot of kitchen space going on. And really, those top drawers, they're going to function like your primary utensil drawers, more than likely. Now, again, that smart TV can pivot around. So, like I said, the orientation of the theater seat and the dinette is not my favorite in this floor plan. Can the TV kind of pivot toward the dinette a little bit? Yes. It primarily faces toward, no, hold on. What did I just say? Can the TV pivot toward the theater seat? Yes. That's what I meant to say. I don't know what came out of my mouth. Whatever. Anyway, It's kind of like when I say something stupid to my wife, I'm like, I can fix it using more words. And you can't fix it. Every time I was like, wait a minute, I can fix this if I just keep talking. I hear Morgan Freeman go, but he did not fix it. In fact, he made everything worse. And it's like, you're right, Morgan Freeman. Why didn't I listen to you in the first place? Anyway, what I was trying to say is you can turn the TV toward the theater seat, but it mostly faces the dinette because this isn't really a model made to sit in and watch TV all day. And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with camping like that. Everyone's got a different opinion, you know? That's just not what this one is. Oh, I don't know if I displayed it, but yes, the U dinette can fold down to like a 7-foot sleeper if need be. Now, you might notice they're just simple switches. Just a switch for the slide, switch for the awning, switch for the lights, basic water heater activator, water pump kind of thing. This is not a super fancy electronic Bluetooth sends a signal to outer freaking space kind of system. And personally, I actually prefer the simplicity. I almost fell backwards down the stairs. That would have been really funny, I think, actually. But yeah, this one's just the facts, ma'am, kind of camping. You know what I mean? Working our way over here. The upper deck of these, I'm glad they're not any shorter. If you notice me standing in the shower over there, it's just enough. But it counts, Now, that's me standing in there with shoes. If I don't wear shoes, it's going to be a little bit easier still. And believe it or not, I typically don't wear shoes when I am showering. I know that's weird, but that's my life. Please don't judge me. Excellent space around the toilet. You might notice, though, the butt napkin roller is actually located on the sliding door. And I get that looks and feels weird, but it works really well. Moving away from there, one of the other things here is, remember I talked about how it's carpetless and no vents in the flooring. They have a vent near the floor, but not in the floor. And that will do a really good job of keeping your feet warm because the heat plenum, the actual heat ducting, actually runs essentially under that. Now, what do I want to do here? Let's crack open the bathroom storage, take a look here from the perspective of if you were sitting on the toilet, this is what everything would look like. Not usually the way you would think to look at storage, but when you're actually using an RV, this actually might be a little more representative of the RV. You notice how that cabinet, you could actually see all the way through it. That actually passes through from the bedroom to the bathroom. It could either be bathroom storage, it could be a bedroom closet, it could be a combination thereof. And one of the only options, like there's a solar package option, and there's the ability to get a second 15,000 BTU air conditioner centralized added into this thing. Normally, this would be a single whisper ducted 15,000 BTU air. Your main air conditioner in the living room will remain whisper ducted. If you get the optional second air or have one added after the fact, if the copy of this you're looking at one of our stores doesn't have a second air, we can apply one. But your second AC will not have the whisper ducted baffling. It kind of has to be done from the factory that way, typically. 60 by 80 true queen bed means plenty of room to walk around here. And there is technically a little bump right there, but by the time your feet reach that, you're already climbing into bed. So I kind of count this like a flat floor in the upper deck, In case you're wondering why that bump's there, that's a structural cross member, so you don't get frame flex. That's an important item that you're looking at. Different frames can accomplish that in different ways, by the way. It's not like, oh, I didn't see that. It must mean the frame's gonna buckle. That's not what I'm saying. There's just different ways of doing it, essentially. Now, I have had it shared with me that we're essentially in like one of the earlier prototypes. It is possible, and it may be likely, this overhead open cubby space might be getting enclosed. So keep that in mind. I'd kind of be curious, would you rather have it open or would you rather have it enclosed? Personally, I'd rather have it enclosed, but it's going to cost a couple extra bucks. So, there's always a push and a pull of it. But for me, that's money that's worth it. TV hookups for the bedroom, by the way. And then you haven't really, this one doesn't have a closet slide. So that's what's coming into play over here. You've got a big closet, big double dresser space over here, which I don't know why. My brain went to Double Dragon, which was one of my favorite games growing up. I was never very good at it, but boy, did I have a lot of fun. Anyway, moving on from there, you get the idea. Hanging space or shelf space. Now, if you have tall stuff you want to hang, you could get rid of that little shelf down there. And if you've got a full-length sundress like Uncle Gary, it may not necessarily still fit in there, but for the most part, you'll be doing all right. Now, knowing what I know about floor plans, I think when we close this slide out, we're about to lose access to the bunk room. Yeah, sometimes I hate being right. Now, keep in mind, this is a rack and pinion slide, so you also should not occupy the seating in the slide while it's retracted, only when fully extended. Now, they they add structure. Like if you notice, the refrigerator is supported by more than just the floor. So, you can leave the refrigerator loaded, although you really can't open it too awful far, can you? Huh, all right. Um, so I don't know. You might want to plan accordingly there, but I guess the sink and the counter space and the storage, the front bed and the bathroom, those are all readily accessible and available in transit. If you appreciate how we'll show you what's awesome, maybe what's not, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you like seeing road mode, and we're going to hop outside and see it in camp mode. The trick with most any fifth wheel, though, is that personally, I don't think many of them are truly well suited for half-ton towing. I bet if you went to the average RV dealership and you asked the average person, your average response would be, "Oh yeah, you got a half-ton. You could tow almost anything on the lot here today." I personally don't agree with that when it comes to fifth wheels. Tip to tail, the thing is approaching 35 feet. That's already fairly long, but fifth wheels do handle better than travel trailers, so that doesn't spook me as much. The gross vehicle weight of this is 10,000 pounds, and there's going to be some people that want to compare that against their tow capacity and say, "Oh, well, I could do that." The deal breaker here for me is the hitch weight. When you start comparing the hitch weight on this RV versus the payload rating of most half-ton pickups, that's where this one goes into the red. And right there, for me, that's pretty much a full stop. I believe in safety before the sale. So even though half-ton pickups are the most popular vehicle out there for several years running, I'm personally willing to generally discredit or just say, to prevent somebody from wanting to consider buying this, even though we would sell a whole lot more of them, because your safety is on the line here. I think that just matters. Oh, by the way, this cavity in here is actually forced air heated. If you see up there at the top, you can actually see the heat duct that runs through the flooring of the upper deck, but it also does provide some heat down here, which is very, very cool. That's a 60,000 BTU on-demand water heater, by the way. And this has a partial version of the Jayco Climate Shield package. The full Climate Shield package is Jayco's way of saying we have actually rated, tested, proven this from 0 to 100 degrees. This doesn't have all of it. So someone might say, okay, well, then what temperature is it good to? I don't know, because Jayco hasn't actually done any testing. I can't provide you a hard, specific number of what this RV can handle. I can promise you're not going to have to worry about any water lines freezing all the way down to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Can you believe that? And there's some people right now that are laughing, and there's some people right now that aren't laughing. The folks that aren't laughing, remember that 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature at which water freezes. So unless you're going to be camping when it was less than 32 degrees, you don't need to worry about water lines freezing up. And I know that sounds silly, but when I give that reference point to some people, a lot of people go, "Oh, yeah, well, I'm not going to be camping when it's that cold." And, this RV will be fine for you. For the vast majority of RVers, this RV will be fine for you. If you are one of those people who's like, "No, I need to camp when it's colder than that," this might not be the right one for you. There's other things that will work for you within the Jayco family. I just hope you appreciate that I'll go out of my way to point that stuff out. Really solid awning space on this one over here. The entry door and the steps, they are eating up a piece of the awning, but not too terribly bad. But I like how the door is in the middle of the awning, so that if it is a light rainy day, if it's hard rainy, you should put the awning away. But if it's light rainy, it's really nice to be able to walk in and out of the entry door without getting rain in the face the entire time. I do want to mention, most of your Jayco fifth wheels, all other Jayco fifth wheels, actually, outside of the SLE Eagle series, have an enhanced suspension package. This is just a straightforward leaf spring package. And again, that's just a symptom of the fact that this is made for a little more casual user, not necessarily intended for extreme long distance towing and stuff like that. In theory, it does have the equipment to be able to do that, but I think that if you're going to be towing a lot and towing further, you might actually want to step up into like the Eagle HT series, where you from the factory already have like a better more ride suspension package. You'd probably enjoy the experience more. We are camera, and ladder prepped. It does have that same Jayco fully walkable roof, and it does have a 200-watt solar package up there with 30-amp charge controller in the front pass-through compartment, which I've found is not the best position for monitoring a solar panel, but it's actually one of the best positions for service reasons. It's easier to get to for service technicians, and they don't necessarily have to go traipsing through your RV, and it's easier to trace down wiring. So everything is a push and a pull, isn't it? Oh, hello. I never noticed that set of power outlets over there before, right next to that baggage compartment. What do you think of this, by the way? They did not force a camp kitchen. And historically, I was like, man, if I have a chance, I want a camp kitchen in an RV. And I really like them. Don't get me wrong. I'm a person who really likes to use a camp kitchen in an RV. But RV camp kitchens basically keep getting worse and worse and worse. And the suppliers to the RV industry, just too often, they don't give you things like a good grill, a good griddle, or whatever. It's just kind of not a great one. It's just a cheap version of that appliance. So I would kind of rather be able to do what they did here personally and bring my own stuff. Like if I wanted a grill, I want to bring my grill. If I want a fridge outside, I've got one of those like little portable 12-volt freezer chest kind of jobs. I've got that stuff. But you know, I don't necessarily want it built into the price tag of an RV, but it is nice sometimes when that stuff is just there. Like I can see it both ways. I'm not the one buying this. You might be. What would you prefer? Standard camp kitchen or no? Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed, this is a single-headed sewer monster. You don't have to do the poop scoop boogie between a pair of sewer hookups. Everything is just located in one spot. Here, instead of talking about it, let me just walk up here and show you. Basically, it's just kind of slightly below the water heater. So it's not blocked by a slide. It's easy to get to. That right there is a little more of a Hakuna Matata kind of sewer situation. So thanks again for tuning in. Now, there's a couple other builders, like Cougar's the first one that came to mind. Reflection has some things that are kind of similar to this. If I've had a chance to put any of that sort of stuff on video, I'll look it up and I'll leave you a link in the description. Check that out. Also, a link to double check pricing and availability on one of these, whether you're curious or whether you're serious. And somehow whenever I say pricing and availability quickly, it sounds like availability. And that's just, this video is ending the same way that it began. So thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone. You deserve so much better than me.